If you are executing a Reg A Tier 2 offering, you're operating within a high-stakes window. In the capital markets, timing is a strategic asset, and any delay in your filing directly impacts your capital market strategy. Today, we are outlining the rigorous framework required to achieve SEC qualification efficiently, from establishing a definitive disclosure record to navigating complex state-level notice filings. A disciplined filing process is more than a compliance requirement. It is a critical component of your corporate integrity and your fastest route to liquidity. Let's begin with the cornerstone of the offering, the Form 1A. Before you even open a blank document, you need your war room ready. Think of this as your team assembly checklist. You need 5 specific pillars in place: a securities attorney who lives and breathes Reg A+, a PCAOB registered auditor who understands your industry, a finalized term sheet so you aren't guessing on the numbers, along with a firm capital raising strategy and funding platform. An EDGAR filing agent, such as Colonial Filings, can help you with the Form 1A conversion and filing to the SEC. If you're missing any of these 3, your filing isn't just delayed, it's dead on arrival. With your team in place, you're ready to move from planning to production. That production starts with the core of your offering, the Form 1A. The process begins with the Form 1A, the primary offering statement submitted for regulatory scrutiny. This document serves as your organization's strategic narrative for the investment community. It is a precise legal instrument where every disclosure carries weight. A common oversight among issuers is initiating this process before the offering terms are fully codified. You must finalize the price per share, the maximum offering aggregate, and the specific allocation of proceeds prior to drafting. Incomplete terms at the outset invariably lead to multiple rounds of amendments and protracted SEC commentary. This is where your team becomes critical. You absolutely need a skilled securities attorney to prepare this. They know the SEC's expectations, the precise disclosures required, and how to present your company's narrative in a way that complies with regulations. Trying to draft this yourself or with a general business lawyer is a near certain path to delays. Then there's the financial bedrock, your audits. For a Tier 2 offering, you need audited financial statements for your 2 most recent fiscal years. This isn't something you do after you draft the document. You need to engage a PCAOB registered accounting firm early, often months before you plan to file. The auditor's timing can easily become a bottleneck if you don't align their work with your filing schedule. A powerful tool you can use during this preparation phase is testing the waters. This allows you to gauge investor interest before your Form 1A is even qualified by the SEC. You can use marketing materials to see what resonates, which can actually help you refine your offering circular. But remember, even these materials need to be filed with the SEC. Getting that foundation right isn't just about compliance, it's about speed. Here's how that preparation translates into a week-by-week timeline once you actually file. Once the Form 1A is finalized and the audits are secured, the formal regulatory review period commences. This phase is where operational efficiency determines your speed to market. Initially, you must secure EDGAR access by obtaining a central index key, CIK, and the necessary authentication codes for electronic submission. Upon filing the initial Form 1A, you enter the period of formal regulatory scrutiny. The SEC staff typically conducts a line-by-line review over a 30-day window. It is standard practice for the Commission to issue a comment letter requesting clarification, enhanced disclosure, or technical corrections. At this stage, the quality of your initial preparation becomes evident. A robustly drafted filing minimizes the volume and complexity of these inquiries. Here is a speed secret regarding these comments. Treat the SEC reviewer like a partner, not an opponent. If a comment seems confusing, have your attorney call the reviewer for clarification, rather than guessing and filing a wrong amendment. One 5-minute phone call can save you 3 weeks of back-and-forth mailing. It's about keeping the momentum moving, not winning a legal argument. Your job is to respond to these comments thoroughly and quickly. You work with your attorney to draft responses and, if necessary, file an amendment to the Form 1A addressing the SEC's points. The goal is to reach qualification, the SEC officially declaring your offering statement qualified. This is the green light to start selling securities to the public. But your job isn't over. Once qualified, you have ongoing reporting obligations. You'll need to file an annual report on Form 1K, semi-annual reports on Form 1SA, and current event reports on Form 1U. It's a commitment to transparency, and we have to briefly mention blue sky laws. For Tier 2 offerings, you're mostly exempt from state securities registration, which is a huge advantage. But you still have to submit notice filings and state fees to each state where you plan to sell your securities, which typically need to be done 21 days before the sale, depending on each state. This is a notice filing, not a full review or registration, but some states treat it as a review or at least a limited review and will go back and forth with comments. It's a required step you need to coordinate, often around the same time as your SEC qualification. While the process seems straightforward on paper, the reality of SEC filing is often defined by what goes wrong. Let's look at why most offerings stall and how you can avoid those same traps. In the capital markets, time is your most significant risk factor. Let's examine the 3 primary momentum killers that can jeopardize your execution timeline. Killer number 1, the comment loop. This occurs when the SEC issues a comment, the response takes weeks to draft, and the SEC follows up with a secondary inquiry. This cycle can easily stretch for months. The remedy is what we talked about, a complete, well-drafted Form 1A from the start. Vague descriptions of your business or unclear use of proceeds are instant red flags for reviewers. Killer number 2, auditor gridlock. Your PCAOB auditor is running their own schedule. If you don't engage them early and get on their calendar, you'll be waiting. The audit isn't a last-minute box to check. It's a process that needs to be integrated into your pre-filing timeline, so the finalized financials are ready the day you're ready to submit. Killer number 3, term drift. This often stems from an incomplete offering circular, filing with to be determined, placeholders for pricing or vague descriptions of capital allocation will cause the SEC to suspend their review. The Commission requires absolute clarity. Consequently, finalizing your pricing structure and strategic plan before drafting is a non-negotiable requirement. This is where professional filing agents provide essential support. They manage the technical EDGARization process, converting your disclosures into the precise HTML and XML formats required by the Commission. A minor tagging error can result in a rejected submission and significant delays. An experienced agent, such as Colonial Filings, mitigates this technical risk. And don't forget state coordination. While Tier 2 preempts state review, you still have those notice filings. You need to submit them, often with a copy of the qualified Form 1A, to each state. Managing that process alongside your SEC timeline keeps everything moving forward without a last-minute scramble. Now let's take a bird's-eye view of the entire landscape. It's easy to get lost in the weeds of legal forms, so you need to see the map from 30,000 feet. This isn't just a list of tasks, it's a strategic timeline that moves you from an idea to a funded company. Think of it in 4 clear phases. Phase 1 is pre-filing. This is your foundation building stage, and it typically takes 4 to 6 weeks. You're assembling your team, your securities attorney, and your auditor. You're finalizing all offering terms and drafting the Form 1A. This is also when you might do your testing the waters campaign. Phase 2 is the SEC review. You submit your Form 1A via EDGAR. The review and qualification process itself usually takes another 6 to 10 weeks. This includes the initial 30-day wait, the comment letter, your response, and finally, receiving the notice of qualification. Phase 3 is the offering period. Once qualified, you have 12 months to sell your securities. This is when your marketing and sales efforts go into full swing, now that you have the SEC's official green light. And Phase 4 is ongoing compliance. After you close the offering, you enter the reporting regime. You'll file your Form 1K annually, your Form 1SA semi-annually, and your Form 1U for current events. This is the long-term commitment that comes with being a public reporting company. Throughout this workflow, services like EDGARization and state notice filings are integrated. Your EDGAR agent comes in during Phase 2 to ensure a clean submission. Your state filings happen right after qualification in Phase 3. The key is making sure all these pieces, legal, financial, SEC, state, move in sync. When they do, you achieve the fastest possible timeline from draft to capital. A disciplined, well-prepared approach is the most efficient path to the public markets. It transforms regulatory complexity from an obstacle into a strategic advantage. To get started with your Reg A offering, please visit us at colonialfilings.com. We provide the expertise necessary to navigate each phase of your capital markets journey with precision.